Welcome to Very Rich Stories, where you will see tales of betrayal, secrets, and twists in real life. Today, he tried to break her, but she built an empire. They said it was a fairy tale. They met at a gallery in New York. 3 months in, he proposed. Everyone told Nicole she was glowing, and she was, but not everything that glows is gold. They said it was a fairy tale, a whirlwind romance. Nicole, 28, tall, beautiful. She met him and fell hard, fast. He was charming, ambitious, magnetic. She was radiant, confident. She is the kind of woman who filled every room she entered, a whirlwind romance. But behind every whirlwind is the storm you don't see coming. From the moment they met, sparks flew. He was charming, confident, attentive. She was radiant, sure of herself, a woman who knew who she was. But fairy tales, they don't always end the way we think. Because just a few months after they said "I do," he said the words she would never forget. "If you don't listen to me, I'll leave you here, alone, in Paris." They met at a gallery opening. She was there with friends. He was magnetic. Within weeks, it was roses, surprise trips, endless texts. 3 months in, he proposed. She hesitated, but everyone said, when you know, you know. They were married in a gorgeous ceremony just 5 months later. It looked perfect. But behind the smiles, the control had already started. Soon after they married, things changed. It began subtly, so he thought, but Nicole could hear very well. He didn't like how she dressed. Too much attention, he said. He questioned how she spent her money, asked why she still wanted to work. "Why do you need a job? I'm here now. You should depend more on me now." He questioned her decisions. He made cutting remarks in front of others. She loves to talk, too much sometimes. She's got an opinion on everything. Nicole's not exactly practical, but she means well. The laughter always came at her expense, but Nicole didn't flinch. Jalen stormed into the house with the mail in his hands one Wednesday evening. "Why are you still getting mail in your maiden name, Miss Devereux?" He said her name snidely. Calmly, she answered, "Devereux is my name, Jalen, but you're married now." "Yes, but I am still me. I am still Nicole Devereux." "We will see about that," he mumbled as he walked away angrily. Nicole hadn't changed her name not because she was defiant, but because she was already someone. Nicole Devereux had a name before she had a ring, and she never planned to shrink just to fit someone else's last name. She and Jalen had had that discussion before the wedding ceremony. Did he forget? Then came the jabs, in front of friends. "She's not the cook I hoped for." He didn't like how she cooked breakfast. He didn't like how she cooked dinner. Yet he kept demanding that she cook and have the food on the table at exact times. "She needs attention," typical, as he continued complaining about her. Not much of a housekeeper either. He smiled when he said it. Everyone laughed, but she didn't. "Grow up, Jalen," she thought to herself. "I guess he's got so many boys because he is also still a boy. He's 34 years old. Nicole, I'm going to take you to Rome." "Rome? That is exciting." "When do we leave?" "In 5 weeks." "Wow, Jalen, I can hardly wait. We will have such a good time," and she gave him a big hug. The day finally arrived, and they left for Rome. Before the international flight landed, Jalen was already in a bad mood. "Nicole, when we got on this plane and the captain greeted you and you were all smiles, don't let that happen again." "What? You think I'm interested in the plane's captain? Well, you were grinning at him." "Jalen, that is called having manners. When a person speaks to you, you respond. I don't know that man. I'm happy to be going to Rome with you. I'm happy. I'm allowed to be happy, right?" "Nicole, don't test me." Deplaning the captain was nowhere in sight. Nicole was relieved, but that didn't stop Jalen. "We were walking the streets in Rome and decided on a place to eat. We were seated to order, and he's suddenly jealous of the waiter, and he says that if I don't stop flirting with the waiter, that he will leave me in Rome. Right now." Nicole is wondering what is wrong with Jalen. Was he always like this, but she just didn't see it? On the last night of the vacation, they are out in the piazza. They choose alfresco dining. Jalen is now complaining about her interacting with the waiter as she tries to pronounce the menu words written in Italiano. "Nicole, if you don't stop all that flirting, I'm going to leave you here." "Here to eat by myself, Jalen? No, here in Rome." "I will leave you in Rome." He is adamant, sitting across from her, arms folded and pouting. 34 years old, she thinks to herself without speaking it. Calmly, quietly, she says, "Jalen, I'm going to enjoy this meal. We are in Rome. If you do not feel like staying either here at this table or in Rome, then leave my return ticket at the front desk. Jalen gets up angrily, walks away, and returns 8 minutes later. He's still grumpy but finishes the meal. After dinner, they stroll a bit, but he won't hold her hand. Oh boy, she thinks. What kind of game is this man playing, she asked herself. Nicole realizes right then, he changed when he thought I ran out of money. He changed when he thought I became powerless. He was waiting for me to become helpless or totally dependent on him so he could try to control me. Oh no, I'm not the one, thought Nicole. He pouts, but they fly back to Rochester. Back in New York, the threats started again. Nicole, you're not the woman I married. Maybe we should just get a divorce. She said nothing. He wanted her to beg him to stay. He wanted her to give in to his demands. Today's demands, and whatever he might come up with tomorrow. But Nicole stayed focused. How could divorce from a man who was not behaving as a husband even affect her? There's so much she could say, but she stayed silent. Nicole becomes quiet for some time at home. She cooks, she cleans and maintains the house. He complains, and she keeps going anyway, knowing he will not praise or encourage her. Instead, he seems to keep trying to tear her down. She finds freelance work online. She tells Jalen nothing about it. He is impossible to talk to lately anyway. What she earns is quietly, discreetly deposited in her own bank account that she still has, that is in her name, Nicole Devereaux. It builds slowly, but at least it is something. 7 months later, Jalen asks if she'd like to go to Paris. Paris? Sure. She wants to go, but she has found out that he is a horrible traveler. If only she could go and enjoy herself without him, but she does want to go. This time when they boarded, there was no captain to greet them. Okay, maybe we will be off to a great start. We slept on the overnight flight and awoke very excited. Well, I was excited. He was flat. I don't know if he really was flat or if he was working himself up to ruin the trip. That seems to be his plan every time we go somewhere. They were in Paris, meant to reconnect. Instead, she refused to follow one of his petty demands, and he exploded. You are not going anywhere with me in that outfit. Go change. Change into what? I brought enough outfits for each day, no more. Maybe I'll just leave you here. Nicole looked him dead in the eye. That again? They argued all day about the slightest of things, and even though he wanted her to change clothes, he wouldn't buy her a modest dress that they saw in a store window. They just cut the sightseeing short and came back to the room before it was barely dark. The Eiffel Tower hadn't been lit up yet. Jalen seemed so happy now. He's got her back in the room, while all of Paris is just outside. He is planning to spoil this holiday too, she realized. Jalen took a shower, got in bed, turned his back to her and said, I'm really tired and I don't feel like dealing with your mess. You don't appreciate anything I do for you. I brought you all this way and I am getting no respect from you. This really hurts my heart and makes me sad. I'm going to sleep. And so he did. Then she went onto her cell phone and booked a train to Nice. She took her one piece of luggage and quietly slipped out and got the bellman to get her a cab to the train station. Her husband Jalen gave her his back and she never looked back. Nicole didn't cry, didn't beg, didn't call anyone. When she walked away from that Paris hotel room, she didn't just leave her husband behind. She left behind fear, guilt, silence, manipulation, foolish games. She bought a train ticket to Nice with her own credit card. He would never know where she went. She took the window seat in a quiet car. No plans, just freedom. She boarded that train with nothing but one bag and her sense of self. She took out her book that she was reading, that Jalen had complained and mocked her about. The Body is Not an Apology by Sonia Renee Taylor, a book of nonfiction about empowerment and self-worth. Across from her sat a man, mid-40s, well-dressed in a nice suit with a briefcase. He was obviously a business traveler. Calm, observant. She'd find out that he was a sharp, low-key businessman from London, headed to a client meeting in Nice, and he just liked the train so he could think. He notices her right away. Then in 30 minutes, he notices that no one comes to join her, so he spoke to her. Hi, I don't mean to interrupt, but I'm Langston. I just finished that book. It was awesome. That book changed the way I speak to my niece. She looks up, surprised, not by his words, but by his awareness. You've read it? Twice, he replies, without bravado. It's not just for women. It's for people who forgot they were whole. And in that one exchange, she realizes this man might be a whole man. At any rate, he sees her. She knows that women see men, but she has not always been convinced that men see people when they see women. They talked more. Books turned into politics, politics into economics, economics into ideas, and he said something that made her blink. "You think like an entrepreneur. Have you ever built something?" She smiled. "I built myself. The rest I can figure out." He asked what she did. She told him about her ideas in brand development, her past work in strategy, and her passion for helping small businesses find their voice. Ironic, she thought to herself. She wanted to help others find their voice while married to a man who wanted to shut hers down. Nicole came back into the moment as Langston nodded, handed her his business card, and asked for her number. This was business, so she gave him her number. Langston was going to Nice also. Nicole stayed there for 2 days to see the beauty of the port and to clear her head. While there, she had dinner with Langston, which was really a business meeting. Not funny business, real business. When Nicole got off that train in Nice, she had no office, no capital, no real plan, but she had made a connection, a real business connection. She flew back from Nice back in Rochester one day early as to fly alone. She had a day of peace before the criticism, verbal abuse, and divorce threats resumed. "Nicole," Jalen said, "if you can't do what I say, even the small things I ask of you, then we can just get a divorce." She said nothing. "I can't believe you left me in Paris," he whined. "Where did you even go?" She said nothing. "Well, I know where you went. I have location tracking on your phone." Nicole was not surprised, but she decided then and there to get her own phone that he couldn't track, not to be sneaky, but not to be sabotaged by him. Until then, she could just make calls from her laptop. She was about to embark on some real business. Langston had asked her to consult remotely with his company 2 days a week to start, and she had accepted. "Who did you meet? Did you go to meet someone?" Nicole said nothing. She would often let him fight alone until he had enough, or self-soothed like a baby. 6 months into marriage, he began threatening divorce. He did it weekly. He did it in Rome. He did it in Paris. And he is still doing it. "Nicole, you're not the woman I married. I deserve better. One more time and I'm done," was the last thing he said before storming out to work that next morning after returning from Paris. But he never filed, because he didn't want to leave. He wanted control. Nicole sat down with her journal that morning and wrote, "If I change, he wins. If I stay silent, I disappear. I'll cook his dinner and wash his clothes, but I will do it as myself. I will not shrink. If I fight, he'll try harder to break me." But what he never understood was that she had already survived worse. She would not bend. She would not break. 6 months later, she got a call from her lawyer. He filed. She smiled, closed her laptop, and went out to dinner with her best friends. It wasn't grief. It was relief. It was like springtime coming to a flower that had been dormant for a very long winter. She could be alive and thrive and grow again. After all, isn't that the purpose of living? To progress and not regress? To move forward and not stay the same or shrink? She celebrated the freedom, not because the marriage was over, but because she had stayed whole and had all the pieces of her life properly connected to continue growing. Jalen didn't want the divorce. He wanted submission. He wanted her to question herself, to become smaller, quieter, to apologize for taking up space, maybe for breathing as if he owned the air. When none of that worked, when she stayed firm, kind, powerful, he panicked. And filing for divorce, that was the last card he had left. She let him play it. He still sends messages sometimes. "You'll regret this. You'll miss me." She doesn't reply, because she doesn't regret her strength. She doesn't miss control disguised as love, and she will never regret leaving a man who couldn't handle her power. When a man is handling his own power, he will not resent you for also having power. Else, how can two become a power couple unless they both have power? He tried everything to break her: financial control, emotional manipulation, public shaming, threats, ultimatums. But you cannot break a woman who knows her worth. You cannot control someone who is free in her mind and spirit. He filed for divorce, but she walked away married to her strength. Nicole? She could have gone back to where she was working before she married Jalen, But this opportunity with Langston was a reward, a promotion, probably for enduring. This was her rebirth in business. He was expanding a consulting firm focused on strategy and branding. Langston saw in her what her husband had feared: fire, vision, grit. He asked her to consult, part-time at first. 6 months later, she was on the board. A year later, she was his partner. And 2 years after that, she bought him out. Nicole worked hard and earned everything. She earned her success and accolades. There she is, Nicole Devereaux, gracing the cover like the icon she is. Elegant, powerful, and 100% in her element. Headlines like The Power of Her Voice and CEO of the Year say it all. When she got on that train to Nice, she had no office, no funding, no fancy website. But she had a journal full of branding ideas, a voice and a contact in Langston who opened a door, not for favors, but for opportunity. These are some of her clients. Maya D. Boutique skincare startup, London. Maya's brand looked amateur and wasn't connecting online. Nicole repositioned Maya's messaging from homemade skincare to ancestral beauty reimagined, created a tagline, rooted rituals, modern glow, redesigned the entire visual identity using earthy tones and luxe typography. Maya tripled her online sales in 6 months and got her first wholesale deal. Alyssa and Joy, twin sisters fitness coaches, Atlanta. Nicole built their brand story. Movement for women who carry it all. Designed a logo system, social templates, and built a speaking pitch for local schools. Got them a feature in a regional wellness magazine. Result: their brand now includes an apparel line and virtual coaching membership. The Harmony Fund, Small Women's Grant Foundation, Langston's referral, London-based. A private fund offering microgrants to women entrepreneurs in underserved communities. But their online presence looked generic and disconnected from their mission. Nicole created a full donor-facing brand strategy and storytelling guide, produced a video series called Her First Yes featuring grantees, helped them position their message, funding confidence, not just businesses. Result: Harmony doubled their donor base within a year and invited Nicole to speak at their Global Women's Summit. Regina had launched a job matching app for single moms returning to the workforce. She had VC interest but lacked a clear brand identity and wasn't telling her story well. Nicole led a 2-day branding intensive to reshape her pitch deck and founder narrative. Reframed the app as Flexwork, reimagined for real life. Created a day in the life campaign that brought the app's purpose to life visually. The result was that Regina secured $1.2 million in seed funding and was interviewed by Fast Company. Nicole didn't just design logos, she saw people and helped them become louder in the world. And that's the voice Jalen tried to tamper down. But Langston helped her amplify it. Nicole had global influence now. She not only fully had her own voice back again, she was helping others to do the same. She'd never be silenced foolishly again to shrink into an apron. My goodness, there's not even a back on that thing. Who can shrink that small? One afternoon, while laughing hysterically, Jalen's boys brought him another magazine featuring Nicole. He was livid and started yelling, "Y'all are supposed to be my boys. How could you let me drive Nicole away? She's got me on red and won't call, text, or email me back." "Man, we were reacting on your cues. You acted like you hated her, and we laughed because we wondered how you could hate a woman like that. Like, what's wrong with you, Jalen?" "I blame you all," he said again. "Why didn't you stop me?" "Jalen, when you're married and you tear your spouse down, you are also tearing yourself down. Don't you have sense enough to know that?" "Yeah, dude, when you get married, you become one with your spouse. You tear her down, you tear yourself down. You build her up, you build yourself up. It's simple math, man. You don't hear us bad-talking our wives, do you? Get out, all of you, get out! Grow up, Jalen." "Yeah, grow up, man." How stupid was he, Jalen asked himself. He threatened he'd leave her stranded in Paris. He thought he'd teach her to fear him and obey him, like he was Mr. in The Color Purple. Instead, he opened a door and dared her, and she marched right through that door that he opened and freed herself. He thought he could break Nicole, that if he chipped away at her confidence long enough, she'd collapse. He thought filing for divorce was his victory. He expected Nicole to fall apart without him. Instead, she rose apart from him. It is a sad thing when you want to tear down the person who comes into your life to lift you up. Nicole Devereaux, founder of Nicole & Co., signs multi-million-dollar expansion deal in Europe. He stared at the screen. She was even more gorgeous than he remembered. The city he tried to leave her in. Now she owned part of it. He laughed at first, a bitter, hollow sound. Then came the pit in his stomach. He watched her interviews on Bloomberg. He read her op-eds. He saw her featured in a most powerful women in business profile. She didn't just move on, she leveled up. He became obsessed, replaying every argument, every demand he made, every insult he delivered, thinking it made him strong. Now he sat in a smaller apartment, alone, angry, watching the woman he thought he broke build an empire without him. He called to leave her a voicemail. "Nicole, just saw your company on the news. Impressive. I hope you're doing well. Maybe we could catch up sometime." She never responds because Nicole doesn't go back. Nicole walking onto a stage greeted by applause. Lights flash. She takes the mic. When someone tries to dim your light, shine brighter. When they try to make you small, grow bigger. Be the real, authentic you. Remain whole. Stay where you grow. Go away from where you shrink. Nicole, glowing in her evening gown, commanding the stage, confidently and calmly says, "When a man tells you he'll leave you somewhere if you don't obey, let him, because sometimes the exit door is your invitation to expansion. He said he would leave me in Paris, but I caught a train and built a kingdom." Then she finished up by saying, "Men, we are not against you, we are for you. We just ask the same courtesy, be for us too." Jalen, he's still in Rochester. Smaller apartment, beaten, watching the woman he tried to tear down dominate a global market. Jalen is bitter now. He roams around his apartment talking to himself. "I made her. I saw her first. Everyone said she was out of my league, but I still got her. She was mine." Then she started talking back, wanting her own money, her own moves, like my way wasn't good enough. And now she's on CNN Business, talking about legacy and brand equity and global vision. She's giving TED Talks and keynote speeches. She could have had me. She could have answered me. Instead, she left me on red. Filing for divorce, that was the day Nicole became unstoppable. You can't break a woman who was built to rebuild. Jalen sits in the dim glow of regret, wrapped in sweatpants and poor decisions. Nicole's gone, and all he's got left is a cold living room and colder takeout. He tried to break her. She built an empire instead. That magazine article was haunting him. There would be others, and there would be TV and online interviews. He'd better brace himself. She built an empire. I built my brand on my own name, and I'm never giving it up. That name is now on magazine covers, speaker lineups, and international contracts. Jalen, he just hears it echo and wince. Nicole told her girlfriends, "I stopped for a while to connect with Jalen. Not so he would come with me, not so I would go with him, but we would go together everywhere we would go. But he married me to make me stand still while he progressed." The only problem is if both are not progressing, no one is progressing. There he is, suit pressed, tie straightened, and ego fully loaded. Jalen is getting ready to go out, dressing like he's got it together, but we know it's just a costume. Do you see that subtle desperation in his eyes? So Jalen got up and got dressed to go out again to meet another woman, to have, to hold, to wife, and to try to control. There is no way he can know what a wife is, because he doesn't know what a husband is, and he doesn't know who he is. But he plays the part, eh? Unless he's learned. We hope he has learned. If you or someone you know is in a controlling relationship, remember this. Love should never come with threats. You are not too much. You are not hard to love. You are worthy, just as you are. You can't break a woman who was built to rebuild. If this story moved you or reminded you of your own strength, share it. And remember, every ending is just a reroute. You are one train ride away from a brand new beginning. Thank you for tuning in to Very Rich Stories, where you will see plots of betrayals and secrets and twists in real life. Thank you for subscribing, liking, commenting, and sharing. See you next story.